Okay, if this isn't the first 2021 iPad Pro review that you've watched, you've probably heard most YouTubers say the same thing and basically sound like a broken record. They usually say things like, the iPad Pro isn't Pro, the iPad Pro is wasted potential, we need macOS on iPad Pro, why put the M1 chip in the MacBook Pro if you're not going to put macOS on it? iPadOS sucks. And I'll be lying if I say that I don't agree with some of those points, if not most. But putting that in this review is going to be a waste of my time and yours, so let's just move on from that. The 2021 iPad Pro really is an amazing device with insane processing power and even greater features. I had the 2018 iPad Pro for 2 years, so I bought it in 2018. And don't mind that it's bent like a twisty straw in a kid's juice box, but I absolutely loved it. I used it as a computer and doing all my YouTube editing videos, and I also used it as a note-taking device for school, and this still to this day is probably my favorite thing that I've ever purchased, so I absolutely loved it. Flash forward to 2021, when buying the M1 iPad Pro, I now already have a MacBook Pro which I edit all my videos on, and I'm not in school anymore, so I didn't really take notes on my iPad, so I realized that all the negative remarks that I had about the iPad Pro came out of a place of privilege and not true reflection. I started thinking back at the feeling I had when I got my first iPad, and I realized that that feeling was what most people got when getting their iPad, whether it's the 2021 model or the 2018 model. So without further ado, here is my honest review of the 12.9-inch M1 iPad Pro. The M1 iPad Pro isn't a Mac. It doesn't have macOS and all the great software of macOS, but it has iPadOS and all the great things that come with that. We have some great touch features, some amazing creative apps, and the ability to transform the device from a canvas to a notebook, a streaming device, and even somewhat of a computer. Something that I've noticed when watching other people's reviews is that we often forget that people who have iPad Pros aren't just people who need video editing softwares like Final Cut Pro, but it's also artists who love drawing on Procreate or photographers who edit their videos in Lightroom, which the iPad Pro does with ease. And the ability to use the Apple Pencil, while not solely unique to this iPad, is also something we shouldn't forget about. The Apple Pencil is one of the best styluses out there, and it is one of my favorite accessories that I've ever bought from Apple, and I really have no complaints about it whatsoever. Now, I would also love to see something like macOS on iPad in the future, but saying iPadOS is trash is also not the truth. Yeah, we do have some things that are a bit buggy, like the filing system and using hard drives on it. It's not the best, but it isn't absolute garbage. There are just some things on iPadOS which you can't get on Mac, which is all the great touch features which make this the best tablet. Because let's be honest, the iPad is a tablet and you need those great touch features, and iPadOS takes advantage of that. Now let's get to the performance. So the M1 chip with the 8-core CPU, 8-core GPU, and 16-core neural engine makes this iPad such a joy to use. Software running smooth as butter, editing 4K HDR footage has never been easier with pro apps like LumaFusion, which has so many great features, and multitasking between pro apps like Procreate, Affinity Photo, and Lightroom is so smooth. Okay, let's pause the video right there. I know what some of you are thinking, but the previous generations of iPad were also very fast and you could probably do the same thing. But if that's your reasoning, you can just save yourself the money and buy a previous model. This iPad has its price point because of the power that it has and the display that it has. And if you don't want to pay that money or you don't want the display, you can just get a different iPad. Okay, let's continue on with the video. While we're on the topic of the display, the 12.9-inch iPad Pro's display is really amazing. Sometimes it's hard to actually see that you have this Liquid Retina XDR display, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it is a great display. The blacks are so much darker, and compared to my Mac, there really isn't a comparison. And also watching movies on the iPad has really been a whole different experience. It's so great. And I know a lot of people complain about the blooming with the whites on the black, but honestly, it really hasn't been an issue for me and I haven't really noticed it at all. But I know it is an issue for some people, but I don't think that should take away from the fact that this is such a great display. Now, on a more serious note, after the rough year that was 2020, it's really nice to see how Apple has taken the iPad and all of their devices really and adapted it to make this still struggling time easier. because let's be honest, COVID is still a thing, and especially here in South Africa, things are pretty bad at the moment. So center stage is easily one of my favorite features of the new iPad. It's insanely good, and generally it's just a fun thing to use. It makes talking to loved ones while making food or doing work easier, and makes moving the iPad around one less thing to worry about. And it could be such a small thing, but it just makes all the difference. And like we heard at WWDC this year, there are still a bunch of great features that are coming to iPadOS, iOS, and macOS, which I think are going to be great to test out, especially if you're still not able to be with your loved ones in person, like the FaceTime features. I'm really excited to test it out. So in summary, the 12.9-inch iPad Pro is really a great device, and I highly recommend it if it sounds like something that you're interested in. Also, another point that I'm just trying to get across in this video, that we, specifically tech YouTubers, should try to see the bigger picture when it comes to devices, because we often have this tunnel vision of the features that we want and the things that we're used to and the workflows that we have, that we often forget that we're talking to a wide range of consumers who all have different workflows and needs. And I just think we should take that more into consideration when talking about these products. Not everyone's gonna buy the $2,000 spec'd out version of the iPad Pro. Some are just gonna go for the entry model. So reviewing that model and being disappointed with the price is not gonna help the consumer who bought the entry-level one. You just want to know the features and what makes this iPad they bought worth it. But okay, that was my review on the 12.9-inch M1 iPad Pro. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Obviously, the iPad still isn't great. It still has its things, and I still want more software options and things on iPad like everyone else. But I often feel like we try to make the iPad something that Apple clearly doesn't want it to be, because they have the M1 chip in there, so they could have done things that we wanted them to, but they didn't, and it's probably for a reason. Yeah, I just think that's something to take away from this video. If you did enjoy this review, give this a thumbs up and comment down below what your thoughts are. Do you love the iPad? Do you hate it? What are your thoughts? Just try to be like respectful in the comments down below. Definitely subscribe to our channel as well. We're trying to get to 100K, and I really appreciate the subscribe. Click on the playlist on the screen to see all of my other iPad related videos, and click on the video to see one of my previously uploaded videos. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!